Your supply chain can make or break your business. With Global Trans, you have the advantage of innovative logistics technology, expansive solutions and carrier network, and a partner committed to your success. Global Trans, freight driven by technology.
Welcome to Off the Supply Chain, the show for shippers and all the ways we think about the interconnected relationships of the supply chain. We're bringing you compelling perspectives from 3 market experts. On today's episode, we're talking about the future of retail. As more and more brick and mortar stores go bankrupt and malls sit vacant, what does the future landscape truly look like? Is e-commerce king, or do people still enjoy the experience of going into a physical store? On today's episode, we explore these and other trends transforming the way we buy. Now to our host, Chad Prevost.
Welcome to Off the Supply Chain, the show of supply chain competitive banter. We are joined by 3 contestants today to see who will be the supply chain champion of the week. Mark Solomon, managing editor of Freight Markets at FreightWaves. Lincoln Duff, manager of customer success at FreightWaves. And Seth Holm, research analyst here at FreightWaves. So each guest gets 40 seconds to respond with a 30-second follow-up for the first 3 rounds. Then we play a lightning round, a big deal, little deal. The sound of this means you have 10 more seconds. This sound means you're out of time. This sound means 1 point, and this sound means you lose a point. In 2017 alone, 7,000 stores closed their doors, including Payless, Shoe Source, Gymboree, and Shopko. In 2018, experts expected an even more disastrous year for retail, but we saw the exact opposite. Startups developed their own take on stores, and large real estate companies started rethinking how malls should be designed. But now, in 2019, Barney's New York and 11 other major retailers filed for bankruptcy. Is the retail apocalypse coming to a store near you? Let's begin with Mark.
There is no retail apocalypse. There's a dramatic change in how retail is structured. Businesses are closing stores. They are in turn converting many of those stores to fulfillment and distribution centers to support the continuous surge in e-commerce demand.
Okay, what do you think about that, Lincoln? Dramatic changes, but not an apocalypse.
Yes, sounds like an apocalypse to me. I think we've seen research that shows, 25% of your malls are going to be closed by 2022. You have all these big box stores that are closing down. It is an apocalypse for retail. You see the stock prices of publicly traded, mall real estate companies such as CBL really have just taken a dive. I think if that's not an apocalypse, I don't know what is.
Well, can you be the arbiter between these two? Seth, what do you think? Apocalypse or not? Why or why not?
Yes, I think it is a retail apocalypse, but only for malls, department stores, and specialty retailers that have no value proposition. Retail overall is extremely healthy. The latest numbers this past month were up 3.5% against a year ago comparison of up over 6%. That's really strong. The big box guys, Walmart, Target, Costco, Amazon are all doing extremely well. Still growing.
Okay, all right, so maybe to some extent too, you're answering what Mark was saying, but Seth, so are brands catching up with trends and figuring out ways to stay brick and mortar as well?
Yeah, so I think the brands that are thriving, they offer, a couple different things. They offer something innovative, value conscious, or an experience. Overall, Brands they're just having to keep up with the times. Millennials value experiences and all this. So they are doing it in an omni-channel world. So it's not just brick and mortar, it's online, it's buy online, pick up in store. You're using apps, you name it. It's just a different world, but they are keeping up.
Well, what do you think, Lincoln? Maybe they're fixing on this, like their retail's not doing too bad. Still could be an apocalypse in some ways. How are they responding?
Yeah, well, the apocalypse is the malls, these big box stores. But there are some that are thriving, like he was saying. It's not all retail. Places like TJ Maxx that continuously offer new goods all the time. They don't have the same products, so consumers have to go to the store to see what's there, to see the latest deals. They can't buy online like they can in store. There's stores that have these beautiful decorations, Instagram walls where people go take pictures. Those are becoming very popular. So you have a lot of these kind of experiences like Seth touched on that really drive people to actually go to your brick and mortar.
Mark, let's drive home the final point. What are you thinking about it? How do you feel about what these guys have said? No apocalypse or apocalypse, but retail still healthy.
I think it will be a selective apocalypse. I think certain malls that cannot be repurposed for physical reasons will die. Other malls that can be repurposed will survive and possibly thrive. But again, I believe that many companies will use their physical capabilities to basically reposition themselves as e-commerce support specialists.
Okay, at the end of one round of competitive supply chain banter, we have Mark Solomon at 2, Lincoln at 3, and Seth at a commanding 5 after one round. In Mesquite, Texas, a more than 300,000 square foot FedEx ground distribution center sits on the site of the former Big Town Mall. The Big Town Mall was the Southwest's first air-conditioned mall and a major shopping destination that opened in 1959. The mall couldn't sustain itself and eventually shut down in 2006 and just sat as a vacated eyesore for years until FedEx built in 2016, it's almost ironic, a shipping hub that took the place of the mall. So do you see more malls closing and being repurposed into other things in the future? Lincoln.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've seen Class A malls survive and do well, but anything below that, B, C, and worse are closing, have closed, and are being repurposed. So we're seeing anything from business, distribution centers, back office call centers. There's a mall up in Antioch, Tennessee that closed down. They just brought in the Predators practice ice rink, and so they've kind of got creative in what they do and try to bring people to the space or have some sort of new business that can operate out of that space.
What do you think, Seth?
Yes, I do think that the malls are going to be increasingly closed. We have something like over 1,300 malls. We probably need a tenth of that or a fifth of that. So I'm not a huge, they can be turned into fulfillment centers like Amazon has done. They put them out of business and then they buy back the distressed assets. It's a pretty brilliant strategy, but overall, I'm not a huge believer in some of the value propositions outside of fulfillment centers. The other thing they can do is they can cover some of the storefronts with tapestries and stuff like that, or bulldoze it and leave the big box retailers like a Target, like a Best Buy that are attached to the mall still doing well.
Okay, well, Mark, what do you think?
I would agree with Seth that we have an oversupply of malls. I would also say, as I mentioned the first go around, that not every mall is built to be reconverted, especially into a distribution center. You need higher walls, you need parking, you need a different set of road ramps. Not every mall is built to be repurposed for industrial use.
Is one of the ways that these huge properties, I mean, is it almost a real estate play, commercial real estate? How does that come into the equation?
Will Rogers said, buy land, they're not building any more of it, and land is valuable. And at some point, it may take a while, every piece of property, every parcel will find a value level, a value point. And it's just a matter of time, but it's going to be a significant shakeout because we have way too much mall capacity right now in the United States.
All right, what do you think, Lincoln? And also, besides a real estate play, I know you've got a little bit of background in with that, but like, is it good for communities? Is it good for economies for these malls to be being repurposed in these various creative ways?
Yeah, for sure. So we've seen a lot of the malls basically just sell for their land value. So they're not selling for the value of the retail. The leases are not being considered when they're selling because they're not leased. They're not going to be leased, right? So they're just selling for that ground level. But I mean, is it good for the communities? No. But there's a lot of things that aren't good for the communities. There's a lot of these smaller communities that are losing out. People are moving to bigger cities because that's where the jobs are, that's where the infrastructure is. So the middle America, the small towns, they're struggling anyway, and the malls are one additional part of losing jobs, losing out on the spending, that sort of thing.
Maybe not good for communities and economies. Do you agree or disagree with that, Seth?
I think on a wholesale purpose, repurposing these malls is kind of wishful thinking. We've got over 25 square feet per person of retail in the US. That compares to Europe at about 5 and Asia with way less than that. There's just 10,000 store closures this year. We may just be only beginning with that. So I don't think, other than fulfillment centers, there's very limited use for these.
And at the end of 2 rounds, we have Mark Solomon at 4, Lincoln and Seth at 8. All right, Mark, not too late. Come on, bring it strong here on round 3. In April, Amazon announced that over the next year, Prime members would be offered 1-day shipping. Shortly after, Walmart announced it would offer 1-day shipping in certain cities and hopes to expand across the U.S. in the near future. Now, other retailers must compete with the Joneses of e-commerce. How realistic is this 1-day shipping aspiration of Amazon, Seth?
Well, if anybody can do it, I think it's Amazon. They're going to spend a ton of money doing this. They guided to spend like $800 million on this initiative in the quarter. They blew through that number. I do think they'll be able to do it in like some cities that resemble European cities that are very dense, like Manhattan, places like that. Parts of Atlanta, other places like that. But on a rural basis, there's absolutely no way, because 1-day shipping is going to be more than your average basket size and someone's even spending, so there's no economic proposition there.
But they don't need economic proposition. They're fine losing money. We've seen that over and over.
Well, Amazon has actually made money for about, I think, maybe 4 years in a row now. They have AWS, they have advertising, they have lots of stuff. Amazon will lose money, but they do care about a long-term return on capital.
AWS is feeding the beast right now. It's their profitable business, and it's supporting or subsidizing the areas that Amazon wants to build, but is still losing money at it.
What is the realistic chance of 1-day shipping?
Amazon will be truly tested this peak season. They are obviously this will be the first peak season with 1-day shipping. FedEx will not be part of the equation, both air and ground. There will be a tsunami of orders as it continues to grow.
Yeah.
The company will be tested. I'm not saying they can't do it. They've proven detractors wrong, but this will be a serious test for their ability to pull this off.
Okay, so Lincoln, what do you think? It's going to be tough for Amazon. What is it going to be like for Walmart trying to track their every move?
Yeah, I don't think Walmart can do it as well. Amazon's okay losing money. They have all these other revenue streams, like we talked about. AWS is feeding the beast, so they're okay losing money on this initiative to grow that market share. And the larger the piece of the pie grows, right, the easier it is later on for them to raise prices and be able to actually pull this off profitably, where right now they can do it and lose money to grow this market share into something a lot bigger than what they currently have.
Guys, what is the fallout for carriers and shippers here as they try to deal with 1-day shipping, whoever it is? What's the fallout?
I think Amazon puts their suppliers on the cargo side in a prisoner's dilemma. They force them to dramatically up their CapEx, and they pay them basically bare bottom rates for whatever it is they're moving for Amazon. So be careful what you wish for when you win that big chunk of Amazon business.
You don't want to be a supplier for Amazon. That is the most limited of limited partnerships, because Amazon's ultimate goal is to be the only player between the merchant and the customer. The suppliers are there as a stopgap measure, a learning process for Amazon, and once Amazon feels it has climbed the curve, it will jettison their partners as quickly as possible.
Wow.
They want to do it themselves. Look, their relationship with FedEx has been severed. They want to do it themselves. They want to build out their own and do it themselves. So, I think if they're looking to, expand their shipping and logistics, which is what they're trying to do, I think it's a good play. They're continuing to grow that, and there's going to be some bumps in the road as they grow, but they're wanting it to do it themselves, and I think that's what they're going to do.
Okay, at the end of 3 rounds of competitive supply chain banter, it is Mark Solomon with 9 coming back, Lincoln with 11, and Seth Home with 13. All right, now it is time. Congratulations, you guys have made it to the lightning round. Big deal or little deal, and always why or why not. So, topic 4, which is really number 1 of our lightning round. Today's customers are comfortable sharing their data with companies in exchange for better service. Big deal or little deal, why or why not?
It's a big deal because of privacy issues. We've seen it, not the same scenario, we've seen it with Facebook, where they're giving away their service in return for exchanging information that can be monetized. I think the same principle, the same concept applies with e-commerce.
What do you think? Big
It's
deal?
a tiny deal. People have
Tiny
already
little
shared all of their data. These companies know everything about us already. There's nobody that reads the click-through. They just click, I agree, I agree, I agree. It's already happened. So going forward, people have already done it. So it's a little deal going forward.
No more data to collect?
I think it's a huge deal. What is one reason why Amazon is kicking butt out there? Average Prime family spends $2,500 a year. Now, if you've ever seen the reorder button, I love that button. How do they get that? They use data. I think it's also, he touched on it, a big deal from a cybersecurity perspective, because you don't want your data out there getting stolen.
Oh, a point back to Mark for being agreed with. All right, thank you, Seth. Technologies are evolving consumers' expectations into wanting a fully personalized shopping experience. These lofty expectations are setting fire to another wave of innovation retail, data and analytics. Big deal or little deal? Why or why not, Lincoln?
It's a huge deal. We've already shared our data. Like I said, these companies already have all of our information, right? So the ones that don't personalize it, those are the ones that are going to die. Like we talked about with the malls. When you don't get a personalized experience, you're not going to continue to do business with them. So like Amazon and their reorder button, these companies have to do things to get you to come back and keep you as a sticky customer.
What do you think, Seth?
I think it's up for debate right now. There's a company called Stitch Fix right now, which is highly polarizing. What they do is they put clothes in a box. They use big data and algorithms. They got a former Netflix guy. They pick out your clothes for you. I think it's a fine line. Some people are turned off by that, and you got to be genuine in your approach to the customer.
Okay, losing a point for not taking a stand. All right, Mark, finally.
I would agree with Lincoln. It's a big deal.
Point for Lincoln. Okay.
It's a big deal because of the amount of data that is available with each and every customer. Companies like Amazon will almost reorder for you without you prompting them.
Yes.
And I believe that it's, like I said, I think it's a significant change in how retailers interact with consumers.
According to Kantar Retail's global database, by 2020, non-store retail is expected to account for 12% of all non-automotive goods. Wall-less omnichannel retail? Everyone seems to be doing it, or are they? Big deal or little deal, why or why not? Seth, let's begin with you.
I think it's a little deal. This is old news. E-commerce has been coming up for the last 20 years. If you haven't figured it out by now, you may never. So it's a little deal.
Okay. Mark, what do you think?
I agree. It's a little deal. It's already at 12%. In fact, if you back out restaurant purchases, car sales, and gas purchases, or fuel purchases, you're up to 18%. I think it's going to go a lot higher than 12%. In fact, it's higher than that right now.
Even by 2020?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. These companies that don't pivot to a good online experience will be wall-less anyway because they'll close up. You look at Toys R Us, the reason they closed, it wasn't their product was bad. Kids still love toys, it's that they didn't have a suitable online presence at all.
Okay, so at the end of our competitive lightning round, we have a tie. Mark Solomon coming in close at 13, but Lincoln and Seth at 15. The only way we can do this, gentlemen, is to settle this fair and square with one more question. Can you handle this? Yeah. Okay. Well, ready or not, here we come. Here's my question. Should the government break up Amazon? And if it is getting so monolithic, should the government do anything about this? Let's start with Mark.
A lot of people want to see Amazon broken up. It probably will not happen. The criteria for breaking up a company is if they are doing harm to the consumer by their competitive actions. Many people will say that Amazon is doing wonderful things for the consumer. It is benefiting the consumer. It is favorable to the consumer. Thus, Amazon will not be broken up.
Will not be broken up. What do you think, Lincoln?
Yeah, they shouldn't be broken up. This is America. This is a free country. This is capitalism. They've created a great company. They're continuing to grow. They're continuing to expand. People like, being able to have the convenience of buying things and having them show up at their door. Sorry that these other companies aren't as good as Amazon, but yeah, they should be able to continue and grow. And unless there's some monopolistic threat that they have created, which currently they haven't, let them flourish.
What do you think, Seth?
I think there's a solid argument that Amazon should be broken up. So a lot of people say, oh, they only have 5% of retail sales. Well, they have 50% of e-commerce sales. They knock people's stocks down by double digits, shaving billions of market cap every time they make an announcement, and they love doing it. And then if you look at transportation, they slowly vertically integrate and take over more and more of every industry. So I think there's a solid argument there.
So we have a tie still at the top, everyone giving a couple more good points. So between Lincoln and Seth, I'm going to say, Seth, you brought a little bit more detail in some of your research. You have the unfair advantage of maybe doing the research, but you are today's supply chain winner, and the whole week you get to go around and let everybody know. So congratulations for everybody playing. Thank you guys. That was very interesting, and hope to see you on again.
Today, dozens of malls sit vacant, and according to research, up to 25% of those malls still open will close within the next 5 years. But as we've discussed throughout the show, some malls have been given a second chance and a new purpose. In Boise, Idaho, an 85,000 square foot mall has been transformed into a K-12 charter school. New York State's only automotive mega center is actually a repurposed mall. What was once Penn Can Mall, just north of Syracuse, is home to Drivers Village. The country's oldest mall, the Arcade Providence, dating back to 1828, located in Rhode Island's capital city, has been transformed into luxury apartments, retail, and dining. Not every mall has found new life. Many have sold for the price of their land and have been demolished. The NHL's Nashville Predators practice facility sits at the site of what was once the Bellevue Center Mall, located just southeast of the city. And of course, warehouses and fulfillment centers are taking the place of vacant malls. In 2017, the abandoned Euclid Mall in Euclid, Ohio, was demolished to make way for a new Amazon fulfillment center that opened at the beginning of September. That is all for this week's episode of Off the Supply Chain. Join us next week as multimedia specialist Tim Dooner, market expert Zach Strickland, and associate editor John Paul Hampstead have a lively discussion about automation and how it's transforming the industry.
Global Trans offers a full suite of solutions around logistics, supply chain, and transportation.
Technology is what we do. Global Trans is bringing the trucking industry into the 21st century. From a small family-run business to now almost $1 billion company, we did that all together as a team, and we're bringing the people, processes, and software together.
When I joined the company 3 years ago, I was attracted to the high growth and fast-paced environment, but I'm proud to say that we still have that nimble entrepreneurial spirit.
As a leader in logistics technology, our platform allows us to serve any market, any mode, at any time. We're at the forefront of the logistics market.
Our teams will always find a way to adapt to the best possible solution to service our customers.
Our team is here for our customers, literally 24/7 by 365, because we need to be, and we'll get it done anytime, anywhere. We have a very competitive team, and that's what we really enjoy doing.
Our mantra is simple: we are the future of freight.